Yeah, thank you everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to sharing a bit of the work I do in the circular economy space, but specifically in the built environments. Um, I will jump straight into the topic as I'm conscious of time, and I would like to briefly introduce the concept of a circular economy, and we are probably all now familiar about the need to shift from a linear approach to a circular approach. And in a linear approach, we know that unfortunately it's an approach where we just take from the environment. We use raw materials, we use them to make our products, and also for the built environment, to build our cities. We use those materials and we just dispose of it. While in a circular approach, we see a important shift. And as Monica and Kimberly mentioned, we really need to rethink the process. So through the design, we can really rethink the way we approach our relationship with the environment, and that can be applied to everyday products we use. The usual simple example of disposable coffee cup compared to reusable coffee cups, and to the built environments. Relating specifically to today's conversation and the goal of finding opportunities to reduce embodied carbon in infrastructure projects, particularly with a link to the Brisbane 2032 event. Circular economy is a key enabler for achieving net zero in the built environments. We are aware and we know that we are doing an amazing job in reducing scope 1 and scope 2 emissions, but as you can see on the screen, there is an interesting research from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation in the UK, where to truly achieve net zero in the built environment, we still need to reduce our scope 3 emissions, and those are particularly related to embodied carbon, but also to demolition waste, construction waste, fit out waste and operational waste, and also food waste. So there are multiple components that we can work on to reduce our impact in terms of scope 3 emissions. And the way how we can do it is going back to the three very basic circular economy principles, and implement circular design strategies as early as possible in the design. So circular economy principles talk about, first of all, designing out waste from the outset, then keep materials in use for as long as possible at the highest value, and then regenerate natural systems, which for the built environment have changed in return materials to systems as a bit of a adaptation of the original three principles. And as you can see listed on the right side of the screen, each principle can underpin specific design strategies. And particularly linking back to the Olympics, there are amazing opportunities for designing for building reuse and adaptive reuse. So again, shifting our mindsets, what can we reuse that is already existing? I'm aware that Paris 2024 has set a 95% target of reusing existing venues. And for anything that is new, how can we design keeping circular economy in mind with a holistic approach? So looking at flexibility in design, modularity, disassembly. So what will happen to those venues that need to be built new and might not be needed as is in the future? Can we design with flexibility in mind so that they can be reused by the local community in the future after the games has finished? And very important also, as Kimberly mentioned, the operational phase of the games. There will be tens of thousands of athletes in the Brisbane area, in Queensland area. There will be even more, tourists and attending the events, how can we manage for that? So looking at under, for example, the second principle, how can we drive the procurement? How can we, again, reuse an existing materials, select products that have high percentage of recycled content, but most over, what are we going to do with all the materials that are used during the events? Can we design them to be easy to reuse in the future? And under the return materials to system, really interesting opportunities of leasing agreements. So can we hire instead of purchasing, and can we establish partnership with local companies that offer opportunities for products as a service? So this is just a simple list of opportunities and strategies that might be implemented, and really looking forward to see this happen in the implementation of the Brisbane 23. And very important, as Kimberly mentioned, this is a shifting to a circular built environment, looking from the infrastructure precincts and down to building design is not going to happen in silos. We need a holistic design approach working across the whole stages with all key stakeholders. So in this diagram, trying to represent the importance of starting very early in the design. So it's great to have this event now that, as Kimberly showed on her slides, we are in a planning phase. So starting to work together with all the design teams, and then looking at the procurement requirements, working together with the builders, and during the construction phase. Very important, the operation phase, which is very is going to be fast-paced during the Olympics events, but thinking alongside the whole life cycle of all the assets we are going to deliver, and then looking at the opportunities at end of service. It's important to note we are starting to shift from talking about the final phase as the end of use or end of life. It's more like the end of service. So what can we do with those components or assets we don't need anymore as is? And when we talk about embedding a circular economy in projects, there are multiple levels where we can operate. Policy and guidelines definitely are very important, and can drive broader change at a higher level. Then we can work and implement circular economy principles at master planning and precinct, which is very applicable to the Brisbane 2032 stage as we are. And then we can dive into building design and material selection. So those different stages and project scales are all very much intertwined, and we need to consider them holistically to achieve the best outcomes. To complete my presentation, I would just briefly share a project where the WSP Waste Management and Circular Economy team has been working on delivering a circular economy strategies for the Arden Precinct in Melbourne. This is an amazing example where we have been engaged very early in the design phase, during the master planning phase. We have set bold targets, not only for waste diversion from landfill, but targets of waste generation reduction. So can we aim and for reducing any construction and demolition waste and any operational waste to be produced in the first place? How can we really value the existing assets that we have, and how can we ensure that anything that is designed for new is in line with those design strategies? So being able to be flexible, design for longevity, be able to be easily disassembled and reused somewhere else. And a side note to the benefits of embedding circular economy principle is design is also a link to fostering a sense of community. So those examples of sharing activities like community gardens, to library, community hubs, they all bring people back together, and the Brisbane Olympics will be a great event for establish those opportunities, which will continue to live after the events is completed.